Hi everyone. This is the first in a series of two videos about arrangements, permutations, and combinations. This one I'm just going to show you a couple of simple examples, and in the next one we'll get into the formulas a bit more. Okay, so imagine this scenario. There's a magician, and inside his hat he has three cards, labeled A, C, and E. From these three letters you can only make the word ace in English. So if he pulls out one at a time, what's the probability he'll spell ace? Well, he's got to get an A first, so that's 1 out of 3. Then a C second, so that's 1 out of 2. And then an E, because that's the only card left, so that's a perfect certain probability there. So you got 1/6. The other way you could do this problem is just imagine what are the total number of possibilities I have when picking out these three cards. Here's my sample space. There's 2 that start with A, 2 that start with C, 2 that start with E. So what's the probability of spelling ace? Well, there's one word that says ace out of 6 words. Okay, so let's do the same thing now, but with the letters D, G, O. So we could make the word dog or God. So what's the probability of that? Well, you can have a D, O, or G, or a G, O, D. So there's 2 out of 6. All right, God or dog. But again, you can just write out the sample space of every possible combination and see, okay, 1, 2, those 2 out of 6 possibilities. Now we've got 26 cards, and we want to get dog or God. How do we do this? Well, probability of dog is 1 out of 26. We've taken out the D card, so there's 25 now. So 1 out of 25 to get an O, and 1 out of 24 to get a G. And then this one's G-O-D. So that's your answer, 1 out of 7,800. So I'm not going to do the, well, double that, 15,600 different combinations of 26 letters, but then only 2 of them are right. So here, this little formula helps you out. What if you have repeating letters? Okay, so here we've got the word C. So you could have C, then a blue E, then a red E, or C, then a red E, then a blue E. Sorry, S. First letter of C is S. Okay, so there's 2 ways you could spell it. So you've got to get the S first, 1 out of 3, then the second letter is an E. Well, you're going to get an E, because that's all that's left. So you've got a 1/3 chance of that. Just to confirm, there's 6 possible things that could happen. SEE and SEE are 2 of them, so 2 out of 6, 1/3. Okay, one more example like this. Here we've got the word Gordon. Okay, this would be a great magic trick. Get a volunteer from the audience, his name is Gordon, and pull out the cards that spell his name. That would be funny. Okay, what's the probability of it working? So you've got to get a G the first time. So that's 1 out of 6. An O the second time. There's 2 O's, so it's 2 out of 5. Then a R, then a D, then the other O, then the N. So that gives you 2 out of 720, or 1 out of 360. I'm not going to write down the 720 combinations of this and show you that 2 of them spell Gordon, but you can imagine that. Now we're going to think about the Beatles. Okay, famous band, most people know about the Beatles, and most people know the names of the Beatles. Now if you look at this little drawing here, we've got George, John, Ringo, and Paul. But if you ask most people who are the Beatles, they'll tell you in this order: John, Paul, George, and Ringo. because the drummers always last. No judgment. So there's actually this many different possible ways you could say this. There's these many that start with George, these many that start with John, Ringo, and Paul. All right, so there's 6 by 4. There's 24 different ways. Because there's 4 people you could say first. Then after you've said that person, there's 3 people who could come second, 2 people who could come third, and you've said the other 3, so there's only 1 left. So there's 24 different combinations. That's 24 different ways you could answer this question. How many ways can you organize the Beatles into groups of 2? Well, here we could have George and John, we could have George and Paul, we could have John and Ringo, we could have Ringo and Paul. Okay, I'm not going to sit here all day and do that, that's just annoying. So there's got to be a better, quicker way. The first thing to think about is John Paul different to Paul John? Okay, well, if order is important, if there is a difference, John Paul is different to Paul John, then there's 12. Because there's 4 people you could choose first. You choose John first, George first, John first, Ringo first, or Paul first. And then there's 3 people that you could choose to partner with him. Okay, so if order is important, then it's 4 times 3, there's 12 different ways. If order is not important, we can cross out half of these. It's 6, because everything's double, so it's 6. Now, this will help you remember some stuff later, because if order is important, that's called a permutation. And we can use this formula to work it out, which you'll learn about in the next video, or learn about later. If order is not important, it's a combination. And you can use this formula. And we'll go through these in the next video. I hope that was a helpful introduction and got you to think about how you can answer these kinds of questions. See you in the next video.